This temple, built by Udayaticharvarman II, was the most poorly constructed of all the temples in Angkor. From the remaining ruins, it is possible to see how imposing it was. This temple hill was dedicated to Shiva, but in its reliefs many motives from the Vishnu epic can be seen. Restoration work continues to be carried out on the Baphoun. North of the Golden Tower rises the Tower of Brands, higher even than the Golden Tower, a truly astonishing spectacle, with more than 10 chambers at its base. Prasat Baphoun is located 200 meters northwest of the Baphoun and south of Phimanakas. Enter and leave at the east. Tip: access to the summit is difficult as much of the temple has collapsed, and it is overgrown, but for those stalwarts who want to go to the top, use the way with columns at the east, and the temple of Phimanakas on the left. Visitors should walk down the causeway, climb the steps to the first tier, turn left, and walk around the temple, always keeping it on their right. It was built in middle of the 11th century by King Udayaticharvarman II, dedicated to Shiva with following Prasat Baphoun. Background: the grandeur of Baphoun as described above by Zhu Dogwin is unrecognizable today because of the poor condition of the temple. The French were in the process of restoring this temple when they were forced to leave Angkor in 1972 because of war. Baphoun is situated inside the royal city of Angkor Thom, but dates from the 11th century and was built before the city was established. An interesting feature of Baphoun are the bas-reliefs, which are scenes carved in small squares. Unfortunately, few of these are visible because of the poor state of the temple. The narrative themes are realistic depictions of daily life and forest scenes. Layout: Baphoun is a single sanctuary temple mountain situated on a high base. It is a symbolical representation of Mount Meru, a rectangular sandstone wall measuring 425 by 125 meters, encloses the temple. A long sandstone elevated approach at the east entrance forms a bridge to the main temple. It is supported by 3 rows of short columns. Tip: before walking down the approach, turn left at the east entry tower and walk to the end of the gallery for a superb view of a 4-faced tower of the Baphoun, framed by a doorway of Baphoun. The approach is intercepted by a pavilion in the shape of a cross, with terraces on the left and right sides. Turn left and walk to the opening the approach. Continue to the view of the arrangement of the imposing pillars under the approach. Continue to the end of the gallery to see a rectangular paved pool. The temple stands on a rectangular sandstone base with 5 levels that are approximately the same size, rather than the more common form of successively smaller levels. The first, second, and third levels are surrounded by sandstone galleries. Baphoun is the first structure in which stone galleries with a central tower appear. 2 libraries in the shape of a cross with 4 porches stand in the courtyard. They were originally connected by an elevated walkway supported by columns. The gallery of the enclosure collapsed and, at a later date, the stones from it were modeled into the shape of a reclining Buddha that spans the length of the west wall. It is an abstract form, and the outline of this Buddha is difficult to distinguish. A stairway leading to the summit begins in the middle of the Buddha. The top level is in poor condition due to several collapses. Originally, there was a central sanctuary with 2 wings. Each side of the entrance to the central sanctuary is carved with fine animated figures. If you look carefully, you can see these from the ground on the west side.